in under 24 hours, the broadcast we did yesterday. If you didn't get to see it, either step back or I'll put a link above. You need to watch it because we went through the Supreme Court ruling. All about, and I have to get this straight again, because it is utter chaos that was requested. An Obama-appointed judge, after the Supreme Court ruling, wanted President Trump to return an El Salvadorian, as the White House claims, MS-13 gang member, back to the U.S., and Trump laughs in their face. The DOJ laughs in the judge's face and says, wait now, the Supreme Court told me to facilitate the return. Basically, you want me to smuggle a terrorist into the U.S. Are you out of your mind? But that's what was requested. This isn't just a diplomatic slap. No, it's far larger than that. It's a wrecking ball through the twisted logic of Article 2 versus Article 3. And I told you it would result in a showdown. The U.S. Supreme Court says facilitate. The meaning of facilitate is questioned. The judge screams daily updates. And what does Trump say? We're not the bellhops for you. We'll do what we want to do. And there's reason, because you can't intrude in foreign negotiations. And then, out of left field, because this is America First diplomacy with a baseball bat. Because this is how you have to handle it, unfortunately, because the justice system is so skewed. You don't get to use our justice system to re-import alleged terrorists. Well, depending, if you listen to the first two court rulings many, many years ago, he was designated a terrorist. So Trump laid a trap. And then out of left field, from the most unexpected source, comes assistance. I am going full Italian here. My hands are flying. Because this drives me insane, but it's also extremely exciting because, like I said, this is the showdown of the century. Because a sentence or two is stated that goes to support and push the judiciary right into Trump's trap. And now, folks, we got that showdown. Grab your popcorn because things are about to get really damn good. And that's the story I'll bring you here in just 1 minute. So let's start here. And I want to first thank all of you. The comments yesterday were extraordinary. I'm so happy to hear that you like the format we're going. Yes, we'll get our trolls in the comments occasionally. Yes, we'll get our naysayers. Well, not a restricted republic. You all agree with where we're going. But on the public platforms, man, just get to the point. If you want to just get to the point, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, get your little talking points, your little one-sentence sound bites. If you want knowledge and learning and understanding of what's happening in the system, then you found the right home. And I love the support on the comments. It makes me know I'm going down the right path. And based on our subscriber count skyrocketing, I know we're doing exactly that. So what do we have to wake up to once again today? Judge blocks Trump from revoking legal status for 530,000 migrants who flew into U.S. via Biden's program, the CHNV program to be more specific. A federal judge on Monday blocked the Trump administration from revoking. I know, I don't have to go further in the article. Who was the judge appointed by? We'll get there. Of work permits of more than 530,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. The migrants came to the U.S. under Biden's controversial CHNV mass humanitarian parole program. Trump overrides it. In her order, an Obama-appointed judge wrote that each migrant needs to have an individualized case-by-case review because they're trying to slow down Trump. It's all they're trying to do is slow down Trump. How dare you? How dare you go against what we believe in? But it's going to come with consequences, right? Not only domestically, but internationally. So what else happened yesterday? Oh, the Hegseth memo. I don't know if you heard about this or not. A lot of people didn't. The memo here from the Secretary of Defense to Pentagon leadership, commanders of combatant commands, defense agency, and DoD field activity directors. What does Hegseth ask for? Well, we're going to reassess our civilian assets We're going to reject excessive bureaucracy, and we're going to improve technological solutions and automate routine tasks. So we're going to start rebuilding our military to the mighty fighting force it was always meant to be. And of course, everyone goes crazy. What Hegseth doing? He has no idea what he's doing. Secretary Hegseth gave until last Friday for defense leaders to submit their recapitalization plans, a date that underscores the urgency. There was a very little amount of time given because Hegseth and Trump and the administration knows that when you're saber rattling with some big boys, you better show them that you put your money where your mouth is. You put your defense where your mouth is. You're ready to defend your country. You can't sit back, just give away all our armament as the Biden administration did. Of course not. The United States must outpace its adversaries. Oh, it's too late. Like it was too late for Amazon to blow past Walmart. You see, technology does advance companies, and it pushes them to the forefront, and it can be done in a very short period of time. I give you that example to not only spew talking points here, but to give you real-world evidence. And why is Hegseth so emboldened? Because the White House is behind him. Just look at the executive orders. Even signed yesterday, Restoring America's Maritime Dominance, just signed by President Trump. Reforming Foreign Defense Sales to Improve Speed and Accountability, signed by President Trump. Or, to be even more specific, Modernizing Defense Acquisitions and Spurring Innovation in the Defense Industrial Base. They're in lockstep. The administration's not stopping, no matter what judge attempts to throw roadblocks in their way to slow them down. Again, all of this breaking quickly. Did you hear Trump's comments? I hope you did yesterday. This was exactly what Zelensky needed to hear.
President Zelensky served out his offer to purchase more Patriot missile batteries.
Oh, I don't know. He's always looking to purchase missiles. You know, he's against. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles.
I think Trump has now made his position even more abundantly clear. So, Zelensky, your interview on 60 Minutes, where you said before a peace deal basically is signed that Trump needs to go to Ukraine, I don't think you're going to get that wish. The only wish you receive now is that everybody sees you for who you are. And all you can do is ask for more money and more munitions. And you've even asked for more men, right? Well, you can rely on France and everybody else to do that for you because President Trump is done. Right now, it's coming back to America first. Our defenses need to be built before we simply go and continue to give away everything or just flee and leave it behind, right? Because that's what the Biden administration provided. But there's more breaking news relating to Biden and Ukraine because more documents have come out. And when I extend this broadcast even further as this podcast goes on over at Restricted Republic, so this comes to my daily ask of you, which is first, if you're not subscribed here, I hope you are subscribed. We give you the headline news, and then we go into full details at Restricted Republic on top of exclusive featured content. Content that really we're only comfortable presenting there, and it's why so many go to Restricted Republic, because that's a platform Lisa and I own. We built it during the years of COVID. I think you can connect the dots as to why we did that. And what we do there is pull out all the commercials, all the interruptions, and just stone cold hard facts, audience-funded news. Without you, the platform doesn't exist. It's the way we wanted it. We don't like being beholden to anyone. Those of you that have joined as members here on the public platforms, thank you. It continues these videos to be allowed to be coming out because none of this is free in this room. I wish it was, and it continually needs to be updated. So for that, thank you. For the super thanks yesterday, thank you. For those that moved over and joined our family at restrictedrepublic.com, thank you. As I've told you time and time again, there's annual or monthly subscriptions. Beauty of it is, before you renew, you can go to your dashboard and cancel any time. No strings attached. On top of that, we give you 14 days just to simply attempt to even look at all the catalog that's at restrictedrepublic.com because we work day and night, 6 to 7 days a week minimum to provide you everything you know to remain informed. Get there today, please. RestrictedRepublic.com. And now let's get on with this broadcast. So what else do we have to report? Besides a horrible graphic in the middle of the page. Trump just put final nail in the coffin for liberal news. Now, a lot of saw that headline, but didn't really know what it meant. Well, he's now moving forward. As he committed, the White House officially presented Congress with a rescission package that affects programs within USAID and eliminates the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which provides funding to NPR and PBS, effectively eliminating them. Because that was your and my taxpayer dollars that were going towards two news agencies that the Trump administration, and I will also declare, moved to one side of the aisle. So, if you're going to be government-based, you have to remain non-biased. And if you believe in your mind that NPR and PBS were non-biased, and not exactly sure this is the right channel for you because I got a completely different take on the matter, and now they're funding. If this rescission package is passed, with us controlling both chambers, it should easily pass, but you never know with the rhinos exactly what will happen. The New York Post was able to get the rescission package, $8.3 billion rescinded from USAID, $1.1 billion rescinded from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, effectively ending that money stream and ending those two networks under the umbrella of eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. Want to put that story in very succinct terms for you. This one, however, a little bit more shocking, involving USAID also. Trump official who oversaw closure of USAID has left the State Department. Pete Morocco. Now, this one's a little suspect, and I got to get more information here, and a little bit concerning for me, because Pete Morocco was MAGA through and through. It is alleged that, well, let's read it first. A senior administration official confirmed Morocco's departure. Pete was brought to the State Department with a big mission: to conduct an exhaustive review of every dollar spent on foreign assistance. He conducted a historic task and exposed egregious abuses of taxpayer dollars. We all expect big things are in store for Pete on his next mission. He is no longer at the state, the official said. Now the allegation that him and Rubio disagreed at the scale of implementation of foreign aid cuts. Now, this is coming out of the Wall Street Journal, so I urge some caution. Some are stating that the deep state has now attacked and eliminated another MAGA member. Maybe. Now, Rubio, I've always been a little suspect of. He's done a good job so far in his position. However, he has always appeared to be a part of the bigger machine. So did Morocco truly go too deep? And Rubio and his cohorts, like shots out of Hawaii, decided that we got to preserve some of those programs? Or has he gone far enough to where even Trump has decided, let's slow this down and move Morocco to a different position? If that happens, then we will have the truth. If he is permanently eliminated, then we may have a bigger thing to watch out for. And this is how I develop my news, as we watch it, to see all these moving parts so I can bring them back to you, to put everything again into very clear, black and white, simple focus. This one's really simple. Why do you think Zuckerberg warmed up with Trump? I told you why he was warming up to Trump. Because he knew they were coming after him. Well, the court's coming after him. Except for when you find out who the judge is. Meta's monopoly trial kicks off here. What to know? It's pretty easy. The fate of the social media giant, Meta, billionaire Mark Zuckerberg's primary company, is on the line as a trial begins in Washington on Monday to determine whether the tech giant is violating antitrust laws. Who's the judge? James Boasberg. So what will Boasberg think here? Because he's the one exclusively who decides this. This is not a jury trial. People saying Meta's too big. This would be a breakup not seen since the AT&T breakup almost, 40 years? Well, there it is, 40 years ago. Trying to pull that out of memory. Reading the court document, you see what the Federal Trade Commission holds against Meta and why Zuckerberg tried to warm up with Trump, but it's a little too late now, huh? The conduct reflects a deeply rooted view within Facebook that Mr. Zuckerberg put in a June 2008 internal email. It is better to buy than compete. So destroy the competition by buying them, and hence the government's concluding that Zuckerberg now has a monopoly. Facebook acquires Instagram to neutralize a competitor. I don't know why so many people are confused over this saga. Now, the problem is we threw Boasberg in the mix. But Boasberg will be conflicted. He's going to think, wait, Zuckerberg was warming up to Trump. But in reality, Boasberg knows what Zuckerberg was doing, and more than likely, in my opinion, will rule in the favor of Meta. And I hope on this one, I'm wrong. But we'll see. Developing stories, many are developing. Now this one is just plain irritating to me. Bernie Sanders at Coachella. Nothing smells the demise of Democrats worse than this. Thank you, Coachella. These are tough times. The younger generation has to help lead in the fight to combat climate change, protect women's rights, and build an economy that works for all, not just a few. Coming from Bernie Sanders in his Fight Oligarchy tour. Because nothing calls to fight oligarchy more than going to a concert that most people can't even dream of affording. But I go on. Senator Bernie Sanders showed up at Coachella in California to rant about President Trump's in front of tens of thousands of people. The Democrat 2028 playbook is to get the drugged out 20-year-olds to the polls. That's a rough statement. We need to stand up to fight for justice, to fight for economic justice, social justice, and racial justice. Now we got a president of the United States who thinks that climate change is a hoax. Bernie, I love this. You've been in office for 17 years. How much have you moved the needle for climate change, women's rights, and build an economy that works for all, not just a few? In the 17 years, you've enriched yourself to be part of the upper or actual 1% economic level on a government salary. When you retire, you'll have the benefits of taxpayer money supporting your pension plus Social Security, even though you won't need that money with your personal net worth. You speak to a concert audience. Most likely they're part of the 10%, if not 1%, that can afford the $102 tacos, nachos, and lemonades as if they were downtrodden. Boy, nice way to capture your core audience, huh? $600 tickets, $100 meal. That's right. Fight oligarchy. Great place to pick, Bertie. Great place to pick. Maybe showing up at an event that only the entitled can attend isn't a good look for the workers' solidarity. He's anti-capitalist. Being at one of the biggest capitalistic events of the year is simply hilarious, and it is. But you see, irony abounds. Not only are the Democrats miscalibrated, they have no succinct message, and they're really kind of supporting folks that will make my skin crawl. Another example of this would be Taylor Lorenz, the liberal podcaster. In this statement she made here about Luigi Mangione.
I feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man, which is hard to find.
Please, in the comments, go ahead and put it. Please put it in the comments what you think, because that is disturbing. Who is becoming heroes in this country is disturbing. Taylor Lorenz, heinous defense of Luigi Mangione as a morally good man, sets X on fire, and it should. We are making heroes out of accused murderers. This is where this country is moving towards. Is this what they think is going to get them from left to center? Maybe he's a mild murderer. There's just mostly peaceful protesters coming from the same network over and over again. It's the same drumbeat. It is tired. It is played out. So while they're in dreamland, psycho-disturbed dreamland somewhere, Pam Bondi and the Trump administration is doing real work. Breaking, we've made an arrest in connection to the February firebombing of a New Mexico Tesla dealership and the March attack on the New Mexico Republican Party headquarters. We'll be prosecuting to the full extent of the law. We are seeking up to 40 years in prison, no negotiating. Time when I don't really have to say anything. I know. But now the headline Mamba Jamba story, right? Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The man who sparked this huge controversy, which in my mind isn't a controversy at all. It was a horrible Supreme Court ruling, the way it was written, allowing this huge amount of gray area. A lower court's lunacy. Nothing's been done. Judge slams DOJ in case of wrongfully deported man. They don't give the history. They don't give you the context. So the majority of Americans who don't read these stories and don't watch this broadcast don't realize the background of who he was and why he was deported. Now, Pam Bondi does admit they missed some paperwork, but that's not what starts the biggest showdown of the century. No, an unexpected source comes in. In this press conference here, that just initiated the biggest showdown of the century, because it goes to reinforce exactly what I told you would happen yesterday. You can't have a judiciary dictating foreign policy. So who comes in? The El Salvadorian president himself. And he reinforces the fact in the most black and white terms ever. Now, this is a longer clip, but this is an important one. So we're going to play the entire thing because I don't want you to miss a word.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CB.
Thank you, President. Do you plan to ask President Bukele?
And by the way, that was his dig at Caitlin Collins. Again, I freaking love it. He does not miss an opportunity against her.
To help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly
deported.
The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him, President
And
Bukele?
you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Stephen Miller, wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant, because they're totally slanted, because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So we had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask for
Supreme
anything
Court's
to get it
asking
back?
to,
And
that-
what was the ruling
that your
in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele,
Presidente
what is
Bukele?
can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm suppose you're not suggesting that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's
I mean,
always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
but you can release him.
Literally one of the most important clips I have played in recent history. Your question's preposterous. You want me to smuggle someone into the United States? I don't even have the authority to do that. Maybe the U.S. court should start listening rather than ruling out of hatred for President Trump. The president of El Salvador understands U.S. law better than you do. Isn't this kind of genius how this is all fitting together? Just don't get distracted by all the mainstream headlines trying to throw you off the scent, because there's real things happening. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I understand. And then they put this out. This is the best troll by the DOJ against that lower court judge now. In their response, here's your update. I understand that in response to a question regarding Abrego Garcia, President Buchel said, "I hope you're not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States." How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? Of course I'm not going to do it. The question is preposterous. And here's a link to the video if you'd like to watch it. That is the best troll I have seen in recent history in an official court document. But man, I am dumbfounded by what's coming out in the wash right now. So I'm going to kick this into two different sagas occurring right now. One of which I disagree implicitly with what Trump is doing. Implicitly. And another one that may have just imploded Biden once and for all. You see, some stuff came out that has now been finally released. Ukraine gas deal was just signed. The Germans earlier indicated to Tony that your call had come to a critical moment. But that's sent by robinware456@gmail.com. What does that have to do with anything? Do you know whose Gmail account that is? If you've been following me, you know who robinware456 is, don't you? I'm going to bring you this entire story because it literally just exploded. I hope you'll join me over at Restricted Republic because this is about to get fun. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.